Alright, just a quick word on getting parts. So I ordered these struts from Advanced Auto Parts, and it's one of the options is deliver to home, and like call me naive or whatever. I thought they'd just throw them in a truck and deliver them on the regular parts run like they do to the stores, but no, they shipped them. Free shipping, but you'll see they just, this is typical shipping stuff. I mean, these parts really aren't designed to be shipped and thrown around in boxes and everything. So my suggestion is, if you're gonna get them, go get them. You know, if you gotta go to the main store or something, pick them up yourself. This is kind of ridiculous. Now it looked like I got the struts in one piece intact as far as I can tell. This one here had a nut in a little bag hidden underneath the bottom. This one, I think the nut was just laying in the box. And so that's the problem. If any little parts or something, you'll lose them, because they'll fall right out of the boxes. The other thing is that these will get all dented up. They look pretty good. These were 70 bucks versus I think 274 for the assemblies. This car I'm about to work on only has, I don't know, it's got 60,000 miles on it. So for this first change, I'm just going to change the struts themselves, just the cartridges. The last one I did were, I don't know, 70, 71, 72, 240Z, I don't remember which one it was. But all they do is come with just the strut cartridges, like shock absorbers. They're gas filled and tied together shut. These were supposed to be tied together, but of course the box are obliterated, so this comes with all these little extra parts on them. So normally I tried to get these to get a price at the local tire shop, and they wouldn't even do them. And if they did, they were going to do the entire assemblies, which come with the caps, top bearings, and the springs and everything. If and when I end up having to do this again on this particular car, I'll go ahead and get the entire assemblies. It makes it really quick. But we're going to show you how to do just the struts and not kill yourself. Alright, so the not kill yourself part has to do with these spring compressor tools. These are a little fancy, come in a box. This is from AutoZone. One kudos to AutoZone. Advanced doesn't rent tools out anymore, I don't think. It used to when they were discount auto parts, but this is what you get. These are nice and heavy duty. I guess liability issues. There used to be some chintzy ones you could buy, but these, as you will see, compress the big coil springs so that they don't explode in your face. And you take this thing apart, we'll show you all that here. But that's exactly what these are for. So when we get the car in here, we will start yanking it apart, and this isn't too bad. Let's see how this goes. I watched a couple of videos, one from TRQ, which they actually do the struts. Got a couple little things different in there. They showed one side, the left side only. And then I watched one from Ultimate DIY Guy, who was just going to change the entire strut assembly. He's got a little different take on things. I'm going to see what my take is, and if there's anything particular I can point out. I've seen a couple of things that I'll show you that they could have done a little different. So, shade tree mechanic somewhat, and I have my canopy up today because it's hot. Alright, before I even really get started, I pulled the hubcaps. But in order to really get at these bolts here, you can possibly do it by pulling these little plugs out up here. And one guy did that, but I think it's a lot easier just to remove this. I say a lot easier. Remove this whole piece, which means you're going to have to pull the windshield wipers, which you start by prying up on the inside here, and that pops off that way. Got to pry it right on this inside to get those off. sure what those size those are yet. But I like the TRQ method. You put a little piece of tape where they go. Apparently the splines are uniform around there. My truck, you can't, you can only put them on one way and they end up in a weird position, but that's all you can do. Get these little clips off. There's one there, 2, missing, 4, 5 you're supposed to be. If that's ever been off there again, I can certainly see why they'd be missing, because they show them just popping them off, but not a chance. I'll show you what they look like. I'll show you how I ended up getting them off of there. This is crazy. Get out here in the sun a little bit. You can see this. I know this is a lot of time just for one little thing here, but see those little grabbers on the inside? You actually have to pry these pieces here up. Now, it looks like you just grab and push them down to pull this off of there, but no, you got to grab them up. So I've been sticking screwdrivers in top and bottom. Even by doing that, you still got to reach up under here and pull that sucker out of there. If you want to get them out in one piece, that's what it's going to take. This is ridiculous. But I'll pull those, and then we'll pull the windshield wiper arms to get us access to those top bolts, and then we'll start working on the wheels and other stuff. First, I'm going to blow this thing off, which you should always do anytime you get a chance. Get all these leaves out of here. Alright, once you destroy your fingers getting those clips out of there, that's a pain in the butt. I don't know how they just popped them out of there. These are 14 millimeter. I just popped them with my impact gun. And you're gonna have to wobble these things. I'm gonna put the hood down and then pick them up and just wobble them back and forth. Alright, wasn't as easy as I thought, but so I had to tap on it. But what you do, you're gonna tap on anything that's got threads on it, you put the nut back on it. Bring it down. Ideally you want to bring it down to the top where the threads are. In this case you don't have a whole lot of room, so I put it down, made sure it's just a little bit loose. I gently get on here with a big screwdriver and gently lift it up on that, and then tapped on here a little bit, probably about 20 seconds while you're twisting this a little bit, and then I went ahead and pulled up on that again and it popped loose. So I should be able to do the other thing. Everything you do has got to be gently because you're dealing with plastic here and you don't want to mess up the threads. And the idea of putting the nut on there so that you're tapping against a bunch of threads and not hammering over the end or screwing up just 1 or 2 threads. And as you can see, there are splines evenly all the way around this thing, which means you can put those windshield wipers wherever you want them when you're putting them back on. This, you can tell when you put them on. I said my truck can only go on one way, but that's not a bad idea. It gives you a rough spot. We'll put them back on a little easier that way. I know I spent a lot of time on this, but I'm taking these off. Be patient. I'm gonna spray some WD-40 on these when I put them back on so that they'll come off again, but be patient. You don't want to screw anything up. Just like those clips, you want to be able to take the clips off without breaking them. So anytime you get in here though, I can certainly lube that up when we put them back on so they'll come back off easier the next time. Alright, those are off. Now we can finish getting that panel out of there. Before you pull that up, this is your windshield washer hose. Generally you're going to have this connection right here. This one's split, so I actually got an aftermarket one, just a little T thing, not a T but a connector. So in my case I'm going to take it apart right here, and that should allow this thing to come up. It's going to have to kind of get popped out from under there. Let's get this off of there, and we should be able to just pop it right out of there. When we put it back in, we're going to have to kind of shove it back up underneath there. This will give us some good access and clean out that part too. Sorry, once again, sometimes details matter. If you're unfamiliar with taking these apart, The idea is you have to get up under the end and pull this way so that you're rolling this thing open. If you just pull out, you're probably going to tear up the rubber, or you're not going to get it out. You see these have ribs on there to hold the thing. This you'd have to get in between there. This would be a real pain in the butt, but the same thing, you'd have to get up underneath there and pull it this way. If you just pull on it, there's no way it's coming off of there, because that's what those are designed to prevent. So it's going to take two hands to get that out of there. Details matter. Don't want to tear anything up if you can. Here we go again. So this is being really, it's like it's sticking in there somewhere. So I looked up underneath here, and just to let you know, if you can see it, right up under here is a little tab sticking down. It looks like this has got to get pulled up off of that, which is going to take two hands to pop this up and then pull it out under there. You know, nobody else shows this stuff, so hopefully this will be a little more complete. I know it's going to be long and drawn out. It's actually, you can see that, it's actually one of those buttons which is going to have to be popped up this way. I don't see anything like that on the other side, is there? Need my light to do that. Yep, the other one has one too. It just popped up easier. See that down there? Underneath that, pull that back in there. Ah, look at that. It's got a little clip, Velcro stuff, so that comes out. I didn't show you that either on the other ones. So you basically looks like it may stay there. No, it comes with it. And that one comes out at that corner, so we have to make sure we put that back in there. Huh. Didn't see that on the other videos either. Alright, so clean that up. Put that off to the side. Very interesting. Nobody talks about that. Alright, so I'm going to get in here and blow all this stuff out. Think, what's the fuss with all these leaves and stuff? Well, we had a Dodge Caravan at one time. A big mess of stuff. And I think they're famous for this. All the leaves and stuff get back up in there and go up into your air box and just rot and stay wet, and you will eventually start smelling mold and mildew and stink, and oh, it's just completely nasty. And in that case, I had to go up under inside, open one of the side panels from the inside, and get up in there and reach in and pull all the stuff and blow it out. Years and years and years of stuff to get that cleaned out. So, like I said, anytime you get access to anything, you want to clean it out, inspect it, or you're going to have to change your windshield wiper motor. There it is. So you'd have to do this anyway. But let me get that all blown out of here, and then now we have access to that back bolt. There's 3 bolts on that tower, 3 bolts on that tower, and this is a lot easier to get at than trying to go through those little dinky holes. Plus, like I said, every time you get a chance, excuse to get in there, clean up things, you should do that. Alright, let's get that cleaned up. Okay, I got the wheel off. It's pretty straightforward for everybody out there. You're going to pull these things out of the little slots here. This is ABS, I guess. Pull this out of the way. This horseshoe clip here, it's got to come off. This bolt's going to come off. That nut, I should say. Which will, and the sway bar link will go back that way. Now, the one guy say to mark the position, to give you a rough position on the, where this is assembled to help with the alignment won't be out so bad. You got to get it aligned after you do this, but looks like I got little slots up in there where it's pulled over, so I just took pictures of it. Tried marking with the pencil, but took pictures too so I can realign it in the same place. And then the big nut's got to come off. But before we pull the bolts out, I'm going to pull the top bolts. And then when we lower this thing down, I'm going to put something up under here so it doesn't drop all the way. Switching is a pain in the butt. And screw up the drive shaft so won't let it fall all the way. Alright, let's get to yanking that stuff then. And yeah, the easiest way to get this horseshoe clip off of here is get over here and tap that out with a hammer or something. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm doing. Alright, just a quick look. I've got this thing jacked up with the floor jack on the pinch point, the factory jack point. And since this thing is so low, my jack stands won't go under it, so I'm sticking the tire up under there, up as far as I can. So hopefully this side won't come down all the way if my jack fails. Okay. Now it's depressing. My snap-on impact gun, I don't have enough air capacity to run this thing enough to break those loose, so I'm having to revert to the old ways. I don't actually have the right socket either for some reason. I'm using a 7/8. Got to put the socket on. It's only engaging a little bit, but I'm using a breaker bar, so this happens to be another shop floor jack. And what I'm going to do is just go that way. Be careful not to whack that fender. But that gives you enough leverage to break it loose. Alright, I need both hands for that. Alright, then we get those two loosened up, and I come up with a 13mm, my little impact. I was able to get straight on these, pop these off of here. I'm going to leave that one in just a little bit. I'm going to get these big bolts out. Wobble that a little bit, and this thing's going to drop down. I'll take the top bolt out. Let this come over a little bit. And pain in the butt this thing is. And then I should be able to just pull it right out. Yeah, oopsies. Before you drop this out of here, 14mm. Take this link bolt out of here. That's got to come out and drop away first. And then you pull it down, the whole thing will drop right out of there. And then you have this. So I'll show you how to do it with the spring compressor so you don't kill yourself. We need to put some alignment marks on here, I guess. Main thing you gotta watch for is that this leaf spring, coil spring, goes up in that little groove right there. Not sure it makes a difference up in the top, but we'll mark it so that it goes basically in the same position as it is right now. Get my little white marker. Alright, story here. I put a little dot just for... what happened there? Okay, it's starting to move a little bit already. This clamps the leaf spring. I keep calling it that. Coil spring. So all you want to do is put them on there and just start tensioning these up. You want to leave tension on this because when you get this nut off here, you don't want anything to start spinning on you. Lay them on both sides. Pop that nut out here. These will not expand that way. Just make sure there's a little tension on them. And then we'll pop that loose. and we can just lift this whole thing off of here. Take the boot and the little bouncy thing in there off. Assembled on the other one. Alright, had to loosen up the springs. That's basically what you do. Get that thing moving and I tighten them up. This bearing looks pretty good and tight. Just slide this whole thing out. This dust boot's going to come off. And there's no bumper or anything on that one. That's it, just a dust boot. The right one? Which one's the right one? One that says right on it. Hopefully we're looking at an exact replacement. Looks good to me. It's got a new nut. The other one said it had a boot, a bumper or something on it, but I don't see no bumper. Boot. Slide that back up in there. I have to tighten these things up a little more, but then we're going to assemble this thing and line up the center. A little dot right in the middle gets lined up right up in there. Alright, reassembled. I'm at this point going to have to recommend replacing this whole assemblies. I've never seen this before. See what this position is? These are gas pressurized struts. This gets sucked back in. So when you try to assemble this thing, you got to pull this up. Otherwise you got to crunch some springs down below where I'm safe. Right, I feel comfortable. I literally had to get a hold of the top part, pair of vice grips, pry it up in there to get the bearing, get that nut start on the bearing. So I would say do yourself a favor and avoid all that. Just get the whole assembly. Wow, that's weird. Bearing seems in good shape though. Alright, back in we go. Okay, reassembled. I got those bolts most of the way through there. Get everything out of the way. These, make sure you put these in front of the strut out here when you put this thing in there. Let's get those out of the way. This goes in this way, comes out, and then the clip goes on there in that slot. And you generally use a little hammer or something to gently alright, now we'll tighten these suckers up. What do they say, 127 foot-pounds or something. Oh dear. Oh dear. I might have to jack this thing up to get that to go back in. Oh, that's interesting. Now you don't have to tighten these up. You want to make sure. See how they're witness. And see where they went. So I got to get this twisted over there a little bit. One way or another. See how we do that. Alright, I put a wrench on that center nut. Gave it a couple little yanks and the whole thing twisted over where it belongs, looks like to me. Tighten those up. Hey, topsy. Okay, so I got that torqued up. I had to put a jack under here and jack this whole assembly up to line it up with this link, because evidently the NA sway bar is loaded pretty good, so it does not line up. I don't understand. I didn't see anything like that in the other guy's videos, so in case you run into that, that's what you got to do. Torque this whole thing up, or throw a wheel on it and lower it down on the wheel, which will push this whole thing up as well. I still got to tighten those and tighten those, and I think that's the main deal with that. Gotta go do the other side. Let's see how this goes. Alright, that was pretty sloppy, but it's back in there. Gotta get it to the alignment shop tomorrow. Now for the other side, I assume it's going to be the same as this side. If I run into anything different, I'll make note of that. Okay, we're putting this thing back in. You kind of tuck it up. Tuck it up. Tuck it up. It's not tucked up. Well, I guess we'll put that in later. Gets tucked up underneath there. And you gotta remember these little pins, which I can't even see. Some doesn't seem right there. Oh, wow. Nothing like working in Florida. Anyway, the little pins go up in the corners there. Don't forget those. These kind of shove down Velcro wise. Same that side. That little pin goes right up in there, and then this piece pushes down and Velcros in. One good thing about these clips, putting them back in, piece of cake. You're gonna drop them. Drop right in there. Heck of a lot easier than coming out, and you can see why they get broken easily. So, coming out, going in. All you got left is the windshield wipers, and boy, you're gonna need them. It's raining again. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the hood. Pop those on. Okay, line that back where they were, but before I tighten them all the way up, I'm going to go ahead and run them. Need them to. Make sure they go back where they belong. See where they are right now. I'm going to see if they go right back to there again.